Hey everybody, I am back home now. We're about 5 minutes into the Sunday night football game, and I just got back, and now I can talk at length about this one. And I don't really want to, really would prefer to have a different game to discuss right now, but this is the game that we have. So 17 to 16 Rams, Seahawks miss a 55-yard field goal with 3 seconds left that would have won the game. Seahawks blow a two-score fourth quarter lead. Seahawks have basically zero offensive production in the entire second half. And the Seahawks are staring 6-8 right in the face. Sorry to have to say it, but yeah, they are staring 6-8 square in the face right now. They are going to be non-trivially sized underdogs for every game they play for the next month. And that's the situation. That's what faces us right now. So let's not think about that. Let's think about this game. Let's discuss this game that happened in LA here just a couple hours ago. First, let me just lead with I did go to a watch party hosted by Norbcam and Fans for Good. In fact, I think I appeared on Norbcam's YouTube live stream of the watch along of the game. So if you go over to his stream for this game right before kickoff, I make a short cameo. So if you want to see me over there, go ahead and do that. I want to give a shout out to Norb for hosting it. Fans for Good was also involved in the hosting of it. They did a great job as well. And Stimpy's Bar and Grill was the location. Great place. They did a great job hosting it. There were a lot of people in there, and they acquitted themselves very well. So thank you to everybody who was involved in putting together the watch party. There were probably about 100 people in there, and it didn't end the way we wanted it to, but the watch party itself was put together very well. There were giveaways, there were raffles, there were auctions. It all went really well. So, first of all, before I say anything else about this game, I do want to establish one thing real quick. That game was rigged. The fix was in. That game was a bunch of crap. I got no problem acknowledging and admitting it. That game was a bunch of BS. So, if you want me to address that aspect of this game, there it is. Yeah, I got no problem acknowledging it. That game was horse crap. So, yeah, I have no issue putting this game on the referees. This game had so much to do with their awful officiating, calls and non-calls, that it has to be brought up. That being said, there is so much other stuff that has to be discussed with this game that I want to just get that part of it out of the way before I move on, because there's so much more behind the curtain here. So I'm not going to sit here and act like that's the end of the story here. That's not the end all be all of this game. All right, because we had, I think, 13 accepted penalties called on us in this game. I believe it was 13. Let's say maybe 4 of them were bullcrap. Let's just say. I don't know if that's actually the number, but let's say 4 of them were crap. Hypothetically. You still committed 8. That's still a lot of penalties. You still kept jumping off sides. Stafford tricked you multiple times. You still did hands to the face on 3rd and 15, Reek Woolen. Again. Shouldn't be that hard to learn your lesson. You did it against the Browns, almost cost us that game. You would think you'd be like, oh, can't do that again. No, a couple weeks later, you're doing it more. And this time it really does cost us the game, I think, because if that doesn't happen, they're in 4th and 15. Could be a RIP type situation if we get the ball back and Gino's actually able to go out there, which he was able to. So, yeah, this team has a problem with penalties. And that's the thing I want to lead off with here, because this goes right to the top. This goes right to the top with the way in which this team is managed and coached. And whether or not we're willing to admit it, whether or not us, individual Seahawks fans are willing to accept it, part of this is because Pete Carroll coaches his players in a way that makes them think penalties are not that big of a deal. He is not somebody who gets on players for committing penalties, because in his mind it's part of football and the players can make up for it if they play aggressively. They'll get the occasional call on them, but they'll make plays they otherwise wouldn't have made, and it'll make up for it. Well, that didn't happen today. Not at all. So many, not just penalties, dumb penalties, bad penalties, completely unnecessary penalties. Again, we jump off sides. How does jumping off sides, how is that something that you're just going to shrug your shoulders about and say it's not that big a deal, especially when you're in a game where you get no pass rush on Stafford? We had an early sack from Witherspoon on the blitz. Julian Love got close to a sack on Stafford a little later. Other than that, we got no meaningful pressure on Stafford, so your attempts to time the snap count aren't even working. So what are we gaining here? So the penalty stuff, I'm just going to say that right now. We need to change our approach there. It's not working, and it results in games like this. Offense. Moving on to the offense. I don't understand. Simple common sense should pretty clearly dictate what this offense should be doing right now. This doesn't take in-depth football knowledge. This doesn't take decades and decades of growing up in a Shanahan tree or a McVay tree or an Andy Reid tree or any of that. We have the deepest tight end room in the entire NFL. We have 3 quality tight ends. And don't get me wrong, Noah Fant ran a bad route in this game that almost led to an interception. Will Dissly dropped an easy pass that led to a punt. Easy. So I'm not saying those guys are without fault, but you can count on Jason Pierre-Paul's hand how many times we run a play for a tight end in games. Like, we threw a couple passes to Dissly. We threw one pass to Fant. I don't think Parkinson had a ball go his way. He had one holding call. I don't remember the ball getting thrown in his direction. And somehow, some way, the people in charge of this offense continue to believe this is the way to do it. So, Shane Waldron, I'm off you, bro. Like, you gotta do things in a way that makes sense. And don't get me wrong, I wouldn't care if what you were doing was good. And I'm not going to sit here and act like everything in this game was bad and everything in this game was his fault. We lost our running back and our quarterback in this game. But while we're on that subject, when you lose your quarterback and you've got Drew Lock out there, and Drew Lock, by the way, if anything good comes out of this game, hopefully it's that I never have to hear his name again. Hopefully nobody ever thinks that going to Drew Lock as the starting quarterback for the rest of the season is some kind of solution after the way he played in this game. So if anything good comes out of this game, hopefully it's that. I never have to hear the Drew Lock nonsense again. How about you run the ball more? We barely ran the ball in the second half, even though we had the lead. We had a lead. And the running game was not super effective. Possibly, partially, because you didn't run it enough. But Charbonnet's a good running back. You know Charbonnet can run. You know that Jason Peters can run block over there on the right side. In fact, that's probably about the best thing that he can do right now. Just run block it. So, what's going on there? And I just... what has happened to the offense this year boggles the mind and defies all logic. That's really how I can put it right now. I mean, the players... okay, there are players who make mistakes, right? Like Stone Forsythe had some bad reps out there today. Evan Brown had some bad reps out there today. Like I said, Will Dissly dropped a pass. I think Fant screwed up a route for the second week in a row. So the players make mistakes, but overall, it's hard to get that mad at the players. Like, Gino was playing okay. I'm not going to say he played an amazing game, but he was doing his job. Then he got hurt, and then he dragged himself back into that game when it looked like he was just done, playing through immense pain, and almost was able to actually win that thing. He led us down the field and put us in position to win it, at least, right? You have to at least acknowledge that. So, Gino, I'm not really upset at Gino. I don't think he really did anything terribly wrong in this game. one or two inaccurate throws, maybe, that are going to happen over the course of a full game. I think that DK played a good game. I think Lockett played a good game. DK had one kind of sort of drop, but it wasn't really anything all that bad. Like, I don't even really consider that to be a drop. I thought that parts of the offensive line were pretty good. And the parts of the offensive line that didn't do so good are the parts that really could use some help out there. And if you're not giving that help, it's kind of on you. These are limited players, and you know it, or you should know it by now. So yeah, I'm really confused at how Waldron has butchered this. I understand he doesn't really trust this offensive line to run block, but if that's the case, you got to call quick developing passing plays, and right now you're not. You got to call plays designed to scheme things open and get the ball out of the quarterback's hand quickly, and for the most part, you're not. And the big one, the one that may have wiped out our season, you call a play where Aaron Donald is being blocked one-on-one by Phil Haynes. Phil Haynes whiffs, because of course he does. Aaron Donald gets an unimpeded shot at Geno, and Geno gets hurt. And we don't know how bad it is, but I'll tell you this. If Geno does not get hurt in this game, we definitely win. So, yeah, that's bad luck, okay. But on another level, F around and find out. You effed around with Aaron Donald thinking you could just treat him like any other player, single teaming him with Phil Haynes, and you found out. He injured your quarterback and it cost you a game. So, congratulations. You now know that Aaron Donald cannot be treated like any old player. Because when you think about it, the Seahawks have been effing around with Aaron Donald for a decade now. He's been playing in games against the Seahawks for a long time. We almost never give him extra attention. We always just try to treat him like any old defensive lineman. Frequently, we single team him. We single team him with players that aren't even that good. And we're just like, we don't want to change our offense around this one player. So, congratulations. After 10 years of kind of getting away with it, because as much as Aaron Donald was disruptive to our offense, he didn't hurt Wilson until the play where their hands hit, which is more of a fluke than anything else. That's not really the fault of the blocking scheme, but now he's actually injured one of your quarterbacks because your crappy single team block with a mediocre at best right guard didn't work. So, congratulations. You finally found out. And the defense, I mean, I really, really don't want to sit here and slam this defense very much. I don't. They held Stafford to under 200 yards. They held the rushing attack of the Rams to 3 yards a carry. But, I mean, the penalties, again, I'm really going to get stuck on this one. Woolen, for the second time in a month, you commit a stupid penalty, hands to the face. On third down, you're getting off the field, everything's cool, everything's good. Oh no, here comes the yellow, illegal use of hands to the face. It's over, it's all over, and you're away from the play. It doesn't even affect the play. And I'm sure the referees would have found a way to call a flag on us on that play anyway, because that was what they had been doing the whole game. But that was a correct call. That was a correct call. And that tells me you're not putting enough thought, you're not putting enough, you're not improving your technique. And you didn't have a bad game, but I need that stupid play. I need that stupid play to not get a flag even more than I needed that interception on the flea flicker, which, hey, great stuff. Congratulations, you got a pick. Nice job, but I need you to not commit that penalty when we're about to get off the field. So I really don't want to say too much bad about this defense because they played good for most of this game. They held the Rams to one scoring drive in the first 3 quarters. They forced a turnover. I will say the pressure, non-existent, unacceptable for a team that just made the big Leonard Williams trade, which is, by the way, looking worse and worse by the day. Our defensive line, talented guys with no chemistry, so I can at least say that much. We've got a real problem with the way those guys are playing right now. And yeah, so it's just one of those things where you failed at the end of the game in pretty much every way imaginable. The offense kicked a field goal early in the third quarter and then took the rest of the game off, partially because they put their backups in, but partially because they didn't handle having their backups in the right way. Maybe you could have just run the ball a bunch and grinded out first downs and kicked a field goal at some point with Charbonnet. We'll never know. It had to be better than what you were doing with Drew Lock throwing the ball. And how many times are we going to do these straight dropbacks? How many times are we going to do a vanilla dropback? Like, run more play action. Give the defense something to think about. You give the defense nothing to think about when Gino or Drew does a straight dropback, especially on third and short. How many third and shorts were there where we had the opportunity to either run the ball or play action it? 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3, easily a running down. And instead you're doing a straight drop back. And what do you think's going to happen? So, yeah, there's all that. I feel like the team was trying to get away with something in this game. Like they were trying to get away with playing reserves, with playing backups, with playing lesser players and limiting the snaps of their best guys. Like Lockett missed a lot of this game. Metcalf missed a decent chunk of this game. We saw way too much Eskridge, which is any Eskridge at all. And I feel like it was part of this plan they had to like, oh, we're going to keep everybody fresh that we really need for the Thursday game. Well, congratulations. The Thursday game doesn't even mean anything now, really, because you lost this one. So, well done. If that was the plan, you failed. Jason Myers, I'm sorry. I need you to make that kick. If you're going to make that money, if you're going to have that contract, you need to make that kick. So, I'm not giving him a pass because he made some other good kicks in this game and did have a good game overall. Not happening. You got to make that one too. Sorry. That's how it works as far as I'm concerned. So, you're not off the hook either. So, I watched both my teams this weekend play stupid games. Play stupid games where they try to get away with doing nothing in the second half. One team escaped with the win because they got the stop, and the other team didn't. So that's fun. My teams can't even learn from each other's mistakes. So now we head into the hard part of this season. We don't have enough of a cushion to feel good about anything right now. We're going to have to beat one of these really good teams coming up, or you think we're upset now, Seahawks? Wait till you see us in a month if we go on a 5-game losing streak. All right, see you guys later. Go Hawks. I'll try to stream later, but I don't even know. I'll try.